Now that I have been able to test the audio and hopefully see how potent it is, how well it captures the subtle nuances of me fumbling around while speaking, since I can't sit still ever, violently restless, I shall warn you that this will be filled with violent logorrhea. And I do have a tendency to do such a thing. For those that don't feel like looking up logorrhea, it's just a formal word for yapping. This will be frequent and an inundation of yapping. So be prepared for it and know that I just needed an outlet at this point to speak. And I was growing weary of writing. Although I do love writing and poetry is great. Composing certain things and within confines is very stressful from time to time. And I'm not saying I enjoy painting outside of the lines, and I can do that with poetry, but there's something way more liberating about doing so spontaneously with the human voice. And I guess it can't really be as misconstrued. Or maybe it can. Point is, both can be true at once. So, first of all, I do hope that everyone's having a good day. I know that the predominant basis of my audience will be found at Abilene Christian University, which I am beyond grateful for. I hope that all of you are having a beautiful return to school. I laugh knowing that there's no such thing as saying beautiful return to school alongside the term Abilene Christian University. Nothing beautiful about that university, apart from the fact that it's um, staff. It's the staff is amazing. Miss Chowning's amazing. Like a lot of my friends there are spectacular. But once again, please don't take me saying that Abilene isn't great personally, or don't take it as a generalized statement. It's merely a facet of my perspective of my time there, a tingent of what I did when I was there. Can't keep certain birds caged. Oh my gosh, I stammered. You can't keep certain birds caged. Very restless spirits need to be liberated, and sometimes what we see as a cage is what someone sees as liberty. As many at Abilene will attest to, it's a beautiful school, it's a great environment. Although, for one, what is beauty is someone else's ugly, and it was an ugly experience for me. Nonetheless, let me not confuse the fact that it was an ugly experience, but I can still say that it's a bad experience for me, but still love every single person that I interacted with there. Again, both things can be true at once, and also can mean that I love the people, I just don't love the environment. Can you separate the two? That's a question for another day. But then I'd have to traverse into talking about the spiritual realm and things there that are unseen that bothered me, and I don't want to do that because no one's going to listen to this anyway for discussion to even be started. But okay, so let's start here with Nisi Ndewere. I know that he was a guest on this show, and to those that are familiar with his voice, they'll know that he's quite fond of Aubrey Drake Graham. And we were just talking about him mostly. And I was talking to him about how I'm like convinced that he'll outgrow Drake. And what I failed to realize was that we grow alongside music, we grow with music, we grow apart from music, and we grow in music from time to time. And we see our growth through those changes of songs. Like different playlists are so, if you don't keep a journal and don't feel like writing, please go back and listen to older playlists and see just how much of a reflection that is of who you were at that point, and look at what you listen to now. There are some fundamental songs and precepts that will remain the same, which of course are obviously bound to happen, since fundamentally humans have an essence, and to those who are the way they are, and like universal concepts such as love, such as lust, like there are a lot of things. And I know that's reductive, there are so many more, but there's so many concepts in songs that transcend growth or grow with you no matter where you are. But there are certain songs that you know you have in that playlist that was like 2 3 years ago and created, and you were in a good or bad place and you loved it, and you no longer listen to that song and you flip back to it, although you may not want to be reminded of where you were. If you don't keep a journal and want a marker of your progress, go listen to an old playlist of yours. So back to what I was saying about Aubrey Graham, Drake, frick. um I was saying that a little bit of what he is, and to kind of allude to this point, I'm going to use a song "Unforgettable," where he sings about a guy named Tez who had just turned 30, and how he's conflicted in his life because he's scared that he'll find a girl that's been with everybody, and he blames himself, self-awareness wise and introspectively, for not always looking for the most substance and kind of being very shallow base and shallow love and surface minded. But also how it's still hard because although He can never be too satisfied with anybody. He also wants that one somebody. And it's conflicting for a guy or a person in general who sees life as a multi narrative perspective and who is so used to giving themselves to everybody, constantly giving themselves to everybody, whether it be Drake, whether it be a normal person, through music, through song, through their lives. They give themselves up to so many people that they aren't like, it would be hard for them to see themselves even being with one person. Like I'm not saying one person has to take up every perspective. I'm still growing and I still have many perspectives, and I still listen to some of these episodes and I wince despite them even being made 4 days ago. Like, I wince knowing that I said some of the things that I said, because we grow so dynamically every day. Very evolutionary people we are. And because of that evolution, I was talking to Nisi and I was telling him, I wonder what will happen to his music when he actually finds that one person that's eluded him his entire career through his songs, through his music, that he's given every part of him to everybody, and he's very rarely kept any part of him for himself. He's very out there. So a person that'll give him the chance to just keep it within, keep himself within himself, if that makes sense, but also find that love that he's coveted for so long, but yet without the concept of wanting everything else that comes with it, like having your cake and eating it too, type of thing. So I was curious as to how that would change his music, how that would change his sound, how that would change his words, his perspective. And it made me think about like markers that highlight where we were, who we are, what we are, and just things that fundamentally keep us going. A lot of the love that I had for basketball was rediscovered every day. I didn't have one solid essence. I didn't have one solid moment that I could attribute to basketball and go back to it and look at it and say, you know what? This is what I'm fighting for. This is what I'm doing. I'd rediscover it every single day. And with writing, I kind of have a base for it, but like fundamentally, there's always a foundation, I guess. And I haven't found it with basketball, but I am definitely reconciling my relationship with the sport. And I think that's good because I spoke with my cousin yesterday, Adrian, who, beautiful conversation, beautiful soul, beautiful person. Like, he's amazing. And we spoke about the fact that my dad and I, when I was playing basketball and he was coaching my team, we won provincials, which is a huge and monumental accomplishment. We won two provincials. Well, I won two provincials, one with him and one with just like my team, the East York Eagles, which also is monumental if you're from the city and you know. But I won it alongside my dad. And I never really taken the time to consider just how much basketball had given me. More so pondering the fact that it had taken so much from me, but not really considering what it had given me. I hadn't really taken the time to look at what it had done for me, what bridges it had allowed me to cross. I ventured into so many realms and so many layers of humanity because of basketball. They say sports are a microcosm of how we live our lives, and I think that's very true. Even if you don't like sports, you have to concede to the fact that sports are a microcosm of our existence. Everything we do, everything we have, everything we can explain, everything that cannot be explained can be found in a sport, can be found in a moment, can be found in a Zion Williamson blowing out his shoe in front of Barack Obama. And we can find it on the 12th person on the bench for any team, whether it be WNBA, NBA, all forms of sport, or the 12th person found on the sidelines in football, or even the person who doesn't even get a chance to put their jersey on. They are all somebody to somebody. They are all heroes to somebody, and they are all a tale of so many interwoven perspectives of beauty, each and every single one of them. So to overlook them, you basically overlook yourself, because ultimately self expression is beautiful, it's valiant, it's needed. It's also a microcosm of our existence. But to tie it all into sports and to get back to my point about what I was talking to Nisi, when I was talking to Nisi about Drake and how I do truly believe that he'll outgrow Drake, I never took into perspective the fact that you don't ever really have to outgrow an artist. An artist can grow on someone, you can outgrow an artist, but you can also sustain growth so big and so drastic that you can maybe look back at it and still appreciate it, but also appreciate it for the closure that it led you to gain. Like the song Club Paradise. I used to have such, I think I have a podcast, the Musings of a Toronto Man episode, about how troubled I was coming back to a city that I felt didn't love me. And where was Club Paradise? Right there when I needed it. Right there. And yesterday, while talking to my cousin, I had discovered some closure in it. closure in knowing that even though I don't talk to the same people I've spoken to before, that I loved once before, that were in different seasons of my episodes, and I was in different seasons of their show and whatnot, I there's closure and beauty in knowing that they may be living their lives somewhere, someplace, albeit despite me knowing and despite me speaking to them, being a distant observer, maybe not even an observer at all, but just knowing that they've moved on and that they're doing well, it's kind of beautiful and kind of given me closure into understanding that maybe this city does not love you anymore, but that's okay because that means that you can rediscover new love for the city and the city can rediscover new love for you. And that's okay because love is infinite and it's not a fundamental concept as much as we try and compartmentalize love to what we are as humans. We can't. Like, it's so infinite and vast. You can't find your love in one thing. There's a love everywhere. It's there for you. Like, it's hard to see it, but it's there for you. And once it's seen, it's hard. And it kind of makes me understand a concept that I seldom understood. And I won't even use the word. You know what? Let me stop using the word seldom. That I did not understand. And it was a concept preached to me by Layla Somani from Northern Secondary, who she doesn't go to Northern Secondary anymore. I think she's going to McMaster. I'm not too sure. But what I do know is look at me putting another person's business all out there. That was so unnecessary. But she gave me this death theory, this theory of comfort, but also knowing that if she were to die at this very moment, I don't know if she still believes it. I haven't spoken to her. Last time I texted her, it was like me asking for something, which was really weird. Should have just reached out to her instead of finding an excuse to talk to that person, which also alludes to something my cousin said. Please reach out. Life is short. You never know. And even if you do know, reach out. Small, like an interaction, a meme, a bitmoji, a reel, something. If you care about that person, just reach out. Like, it's really not that, it can really lead to something. And even if it leads you to regret, you can't learn to regret unless you take the step. So take it. Freaking reach out. But either way, I think if I am remembering this correctly, it was a beautiful lesson, but I now am finally realizing. She said, if I died right now, I'd be content. I would be happy with the life that I lived, and I'd be fine if those around me moved on. And I was confused. I said to her, what do you mean you want people to move on? You wouldn't want to know that you were loved or that you were missed? And she said, a sign of them loving me is a sign that they were able to move on. I don't think she said that verbatim. She might have, or she might have put it better, but she had said that a sign of their love is a sign of them being able to move on. So maybe in growing, I realized that maybe the city doesn't love me anymore, but maybe in moving on, that is the city showing its love to me. And that's fine because maybe in departure, it shows love that maybe it's somebody that I haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it's somebody that I haven't thought about in a while. But maybe it's them moving on with their life that shows the greatest form of love. Or maybe not. Like, love, again, is so infinite and expansive that it's everywhere. It's not in one place at one time. Like, it's vast, it's multiple, it's everything. It's everywhere. So, um, I commend you to reach out to somebody today, whether it be somebody small, somebody you haven't thought of. And this doesn't mean this is your sign to reach out to some horrible ex of yours who treated you horribly, because I'm not saying that. Take it as you will. Art is subject to the interpreter, so interpret it as you will. This is not a sign to do that. Or maybe it is, but all I'm saying is take your time, realize that your potential is vast and it's multiple and it's out there, and um, love is everywhere. Love is waiting to be seen. And just reach out to somebody. If you can, reach out. Reach out to somebody. Whether it just be saying hi or checking in on them, just reach out to somebody. Because we all grow. We all move away from things we once loved. We all sometimes think that something doesn't love us. And it's sometimes nice to have a reminder to show that there is love out there. And you can be that love for somebody. Something small. It's really not that, it doesn't take much. And I say this knowing that I haven't reached out to half of the people I'm talking about in this podcast, but um, we can talk about me being a little bit of a hypocrite later. But for now, this is just me speaking to whomever. I don't know. I don't know. I may put this on my story for more people to see it. I may not. I grow weary of my voice even being seen, so I'm a little scared. So I think I'll put it out there and see how it's received. But just conclusion, reach out. Life is infinite and more, well, it's finite, but also infinite, more expansive than anyone could ever imagine. So just when you think you know something and something else comes along, don't tarry and don't be angry, but know that it's okay because that is what life is. It's ever developing, and the development is what makes it beautiful. Don't be weary of being old because honestly, it's truly a blessing that very few get to see. And the more you're around death at a young age and the more you see it impact those that you love, the more you begin to realize that although we fear age, age is really one of the most beautiful blessings. Now, two things can be true in once, and it could still be a horrible thing to live in this world and be in this world and interact with people in this world and be human because you know the term to live is to suffer and all that stuff, but it can also be true that to be in this world and to be able to live in it and see things that we've been given a chance to do such is a true blessing. So yeah, on that note, I think if you're on Spotify, the song that you may be hearing is, I don't even know, it's it may be a song given to me by Nevea, but not a recent one. It may be one that I've been listening to for a while. So, or maybe Lupe Fiasco's Superstar. I don't know. I don't know what it may be, but all I know is if you're on YouTube, just please bear with my voice. And yeah, love you all. I hope that you're all having a beautiful day. And I hope that you reach out to somebody today. Please reach out to somebody and understand that you could be doing a lot. And I know you hear that a lot, but you're hearing it from me again. If you're hearing it 400 times, this may be the 401st time that it may click. I don't know. I hope it does. And even if you don't take away the reach out form, understand that there are a lot of microcosms in this life, and don't negate somebody's life because you don't understand it. And you know, base philosophy, not even anything huge, just things that we all understand in our everyday life that sometimes can be great to be reminded of. And to Nisi, I apologize for overlooking why you loved Drake and why you appreciated him, because now I understand that to even like there's certain playlists that you see that to have even gotten to a certain point, there's a level of pain that somebody would have had to go through. To those who are wise at younger ages, it's a beautiful thing to some, but if you really truly understand what it would take to get to that level of wisdom and level of understanding, you realize that many have lived lives past their very carbon age. So take your time, be patient with people because we're all living life for the first time. And yeah, just love. I don't even know what to title this. So, all right. I love you all. I'm going to leave you alone. I've taken up at least 18 minutes of your precious day. And I hope that you all have a beautiful day, you lovely people. All right. If you're on Spotify, enjoy the song. If you're on YouTube, tough luck. I'm sorry. Can't do much about copyright infringement. All right. Later.